Thanks for joining me. It's around 10:30 in the morning. I've been walking around Lake Eden now for over an hour, but I'm not here to photograph wildlife, as you can see here with my Z6 II, and I've got the Nikon 24 to 85mm lens on, so no wildlife photography for me this morning. No landscape photography this morning either, because although Lake Eden is beautiful for landscape photography, early morning, late afternoon, today at this time it is beautiful, but there's no cloud. It's just blue sky. There's no wind. It would be boring to take landscape photographies this morning. And also something that I've been struggling with. I'm struggling getting out. I'm just like not in the mood to take photos. So I guess you could say I'm bored. I am thoroughly bored, and I'll admit it. But what do you do when you're bored and you're struggling to get out? I'm finding that I've got to shift my mindset. Not saying I'm going to force myself to go out to take sunset photos, because I've taken thousands of sunset photos. I've taken hundreds of Milky Way photos, taken thousands of just landscape image. No, I'm finding that I've got to try to find something different to like activate my brain to say, well, I'm going to go out this morning and I'm going to try to think outside the box of the normal type of photography that I do. And this is what I've decided to do this morning. And it's taken me 4 days to get here because I'm bored, because I'm finding motivation so hard. But you know what? I've just had a really good time this morning. When I started, I walked for about 10 minutes thinking, what am I doing here? What photos can I take? I had an idea in my head, but it's putting that idea from my brain to my hands, to my camera, and saying, okay, get out of this boredom. Try. You're here. Don't think about anything else. Just think about, let's take some photos. Let's take some unusual photos, some fun photos, photos that you normally don't take. This is what I've decided to do this morning. If you follow my channel, you know that I'm a Fotopro ambassador. And a couple of months ago, they sent me this little mini tripod, the X-Go Mini 2. You can see, look how small it is. Now, these two legs do extend, like you can see here. I like it because I can use my ZV-1 on it. At the moment, you can see that I've got my Nikon Z6 II on there. This is how I took all the photos this morning, very low down. I also took off some photos with my mobile phone to show you the point of view, and you will be very surprised and maybe amazed at what the point of view looks like when you get low down and you just photograph just everyday things around a park or around your home. As photographers, we normally walk around, if we're landscape photographers, we shoot from shoulder height, or we might shoot, let's say, from waist height. But how often do we shoot low down? How often have you tried to shoot low down? Leave it in the comments. Tell me how often. This is what I did this morning. I took photos straight on. Sometimes I tilted up, both in landscape orientation like this and in portrait orientation like this. And I'll show you the photos and you will see how everyday things around a park can just look amazing. Some of it mightn't turn out, but at least you had a go. You might just start knocking that boredom out of your photography, because once you're in this rut, believe me, it is very hard to get out of a rut. We call it in photography losing our mojo, losing our desire, losing our ability to say, well, I'm going to get good photos. We've got to stop thinking of that mindset and thinking about, what is a good photo? Is it really a good photo if the sunset is beautiful and red? I don't think so. I think a good photo is something that you're happy with. Doesn't matter what other people think. It's a photo that you're happy with. Let's take a look at some of the photos that I took this morning, both in landscape orientation and in portrait orientation. Now, most of the time when I go out taking landscape photos, I have the X rotator on my camera. But today, I just decided just to use an L bracket. Why? Just to keep the weight down on my X-Go Mini 2. And also because some people are saying, well, It's great that you've got this rotator, but I've only got an L bracket. Can you just show us, is an L bracket still suitable for 2025 and onwards? Well, sure it is. Just because I show you a piece of gear that Fotopro make doesn't mean that you've got to go out and buy it. I'm just showing you some of the gear that Fotopro make to give you an idea of what gear is available to help make your photography easier. And that's why I use the X rotator, because I don't have to keep flipping around. Here though, I just want to keep the weight down, so I just put my old L bracket on. So this is the first photo that I took here. It's a walking bridge across a little swamp here. Look how low I am. Now, look at it in portrait orientation. There's a lot of foreground here, but it just looks so different compared to this is just taken handheld at shoulder height. Now, if I go back to the portrait orientation down low, look at the difference. Now look at them side by side. Can you see how your point of view changes? Now, I'm not saying this is a good photo. I'm showing you these to give you an idea of what the perspective looks like way down here. Now, this is a little bit further because there's two walkways. Now we're in the sun. Here, I've angled the camera. We're looking straight on the walkway. On the left-hand side here, we've got this balustrading just coming in towards the 2/3. So we're leading the eye in. Remember, you've got to draw the attention of your viewer. If you don't, it doesn't matter what type of photo you take. It's not going to look nice. People go like, yep, flip. Here, I'm drawing the viewer's eye. On the right-hand side, I've just got a straight line. On the left, though, it's just angling down. It is automatically leading your viewer's eye into it. Look what happens when I'm at shoulder height here. It is just boring. What do you think? Do you think this is good? I don't. It just looks flat. How interesting is it photographing a park bench? Dead set boring, isn't it? But look how I framed this. I'm low. I've angled the park bench, so I'm on the left-hand side, angling in. I've got this big gum tree here, and it's acting like a post. It's just a boring park bench. But I've made it into something less boring and quite interesting. Would you think of taking a photo like this? Well, this is how I'm going to try to be removing my boredom out of my photography. Trying, because I'm really suffering from this. It's hard to admit that you're struggling in life. You're struggling with like a mental block, whether it's landscape photography, whether it's this type of photography, whether it's wildlife photography. I think the only way I can sort of get my mojo, get out of this boredom, is to go out and find different ways to take photos. This one here, I got as low down to the water as possible. I've got reflections on the water because there's no wind around, but it's flat. I've tried my hardest. What these lagoons are around Lake Eden here is their catchment ponds. All the stormwater that comes from the stormwater drains, they get into these catchment ponds. And you can see in this photo here of all these blue rocks here, what happens is that the water goes into these catchment ponds and then filters through. Underneath these rocks, there's a lot of sand between them, there's gravel. So the water slowly filters through this down into Lake Eden. So there's less rubbish, there's less sediment going into the lake. Now, I'm in portrait orientation like this. And look at the difference. It looks really nice. What I did here is I decided to do a stacked set of photos at f5.6. Now, if you aren't familiar with what a stacked set of images are, and I've just gone through from front to back and just selected all my focus points. Then I've gone into Photoshop and stacked the images. So I've brought them all into Photoshop, told Photoshop, well, merge them all together. This is very good for macro photography, but normally for landscape photography, we like just having one point and then just blurring the background out. Or we just want everything from front to back in focus if we're shooting for a long distance, and we'll use an aperture of, let's say, f11, f14 or f16 to give us front to back focus. This type of photo, I just want to have some fun. Remember, today is all about trying to knock the boredom in. So that's why I'm doing this. I just want to see if it looks right. And I've also taken one f3.5, because even though this lens is not designed to be used at f3.5, I'm going to have a lot of vignetting around the edges, and it's going to be very soft. But I want to see what it looked like, because where I focus is going to be sharp. A lot of it, the other 2/3, is going to be soft, but that's what I want. I don't want my whole image sharp. I want to see what it looks like. So I don't have to go into Lightroom and add a vignette and soften the image up. My camera has done all this for me. I thought this would look good. I've gone close to this little lagoon here, and there's all this bacopa, and it's flowering, it's purple, and there's a tree in the background, and you can just see it's just white and it's straggling upwards. But then when I looked at it, hey Charles, it's boring. How about we go into portrait? This looks so nice. Why? Because now I've isolated that tree. I've just got a bit of bacopa. I've got reflections on the water of the star of the tree, and it looks quite nice. After that, I kept walking around, and I've taken another photo of a park bench. This one here in full sun. But why did I take a photo of this one here in portrait orientation? Look at it. There's these big clumps of grass on each side. The clumps of grass stop you seeing the edges of this park bench. It's like the park bench is trying to hide itself. I've got the park bench. You can see I've got these big clumps of grass on each side and the beautiful tree in the background, and it's just framing the whole image. The other park bench, I couldn't do that because the background was just bland. It was just overcrowded. So think about, if you're going to add background, still think about, like, does the background add to what you're photographing, or does it detract? The other park bench, it detracted, so I didn't add anything. Here, the background with the blue sky looks amazing. And they're the photos I took this morning, just having some fun. As you can see, the type of photos I took this morning are not the type of photos that I normally take. It was different. And I think this is going to be the start of trying to remove that boredom from my photography. Maybe if you are in the same spot as where I am today, or you're getting that way, then go out and think about different ways to take photos. You don't have to come to a park. Just look around your yard. Look at pot plants. Photograph a pot plant from way down low. I'm using the Exco Mini 2 here, not because I want to, but because I suffer from tremors in my hands. So I can't use my camera handheld at the moment. And look how compact it folds to. You can just put this in a little backpack, unlike a big tripod. If you've been in the same spot as I am and you've found a way to get over this, I'd like to hear it. Leave some feedback in the comments. My channel is all about helping fellow photographers, whether it be wildlife photography, landscape photography, or photography like this. I've been a photographer most of my life. I know what it is to get through slumps, to go through, to learn different types of photography. And this is all I'd like to do now, is just share the knowledge that I have, and also share how I feel at times about my photography. Same as in life, we go through highs and lows. It's like the ocean. We have waves, we're up and down. We're not flat all the time. Stay safe, enjoy photography, and I'll see you next time, whether I'm out and about or in my office.